You hold a story hidden deep within you. Your cells hold a remembrance. Your heart holds memories. How you unravel this story is what you call your journey. Who are you really? You may believe you are the facets of your stories, but oh, you are so much more. You are not just the storyteller, you are the story writer. Every chapter overlapping that of the last, a constant simulation of the here and now. The meaning to these stories are undefined. Neither are or aren't, because the reality of each story is elusive and subjective. We live in a world that requires so much meaning. But does meaning exist in magic? And does it need to? To feel into the trust of the multidimensional reality around you means to no longer need meaning, but instead acquire a knowing that is intended, is already done. When you fall into the open arms of the Great Mother, there is a resonance of home. The suffering stops. The need to understand melts away. The built-up tension drops from your being. And you rest. You remember the magic. She is calling you to step in. From Seeing Beyond the Scene by Francesca Raffa.
And so we welcome you today here into our podcast, and we've decided to start with the topic of remembrance.
Yeah.
What is remembrance for you, sister?
I just want to take a big exhale. That's my first somatic response to the word remembrance. And as you listen into that word for yourselves, listeners, welcoming you all here, taking a moment to hear the word remembrance. So as you share that word, I feel it is larger than life itself. Remembrance. There's like a rippling of eons that almost surge forward to meet every cell in my body, in my being. And then there is also this rootedness that I feel of my connection to the earth and to the cosmos. And I really feel like remembrance touches on so many topics and avenues of the lineage of where our soul comes from.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt when you shared this word. And there's a journey of this remembrance that I, Francesca, in this life have been on. And there are many journeys of remembrances that have occurred before. And that's what's coming for me right now. What do you feel remembrance is?
Beautiful. I feel so much resonance in your sharing. I think I resonated so deeply with the word home when you spoke it in the poetry. So, I think I would say for me, remembrance has really this touch of a calling, a longing, calling that is coming from the light beings, the ascended masters, the ancestors that speak to us through these callings, through this remembrance, and help us guide the way. I think remembrance to me also speaks a lot about the body, about embodiment, right? So we even spoke into the word silence as well, right? So it's like really when I can be in the silence of the soul and so connected to my body, to my being, that's when the remembrance comes true.
What's coming through for me now is the question of how do you experience remembrance? You mentioned embodiment, but
Yeah.
how else do you experience it?
It's beautiful because often it's through either tears or like just a deep knowing. And it's not a knowing of experience, my experience necessarily. It's a knowing that comes from somewhere else and that I get to sense in my body. And yeah, I would say it's a knowing. It's all of a sudden this like surge of like, yes, I know this. And it's not a knowing of the mind. It's not like, oh, I know this as, or it's just like, yeah, home. I know home here, you know, and in so many, it can be a memory, it can be a touching something, but it's the sense of home in the body. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I feel like the experience of remembrance is a cellular one. It's and the more I've attuned to understanding my being on all the levels of the mental body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the energetic body, and the physical body, it's I sense remembrance as a tingle, or maybe a burst. And I was sharing this that often now with remembrance, the words I find are scarce to really speak to what's happening. And often it's an impulse of my body that either wants to go, or it's a sound, or it's an expression that comes from my whole being, and rather than like this, oh, I remembered that, right? Because I just wanted to speak into what we're really talking of in remembrance is this soul alive, rippling remembrance that surges through the aliveness of your body.
I wonder if you experience it the same, because for me, often when I have this moment of like, right, this remembrance, it's almost like as if time stops in some way. There's like a touching, a quantum cloud of, something. It's like it's a receiving that takes me out of linear time. I wonder if you have the same experience.
Yeah, I feel if someone's sharing something, especially for a teaching, or there is something of deep rooted wisdom and it's resonating for the whole of me, and every part of me is going or screaming, that is true. Like the teachings of Rumi and the teachings of Lao Tzu, like these great philosophers, when I receive these words of mysticism and poetry, that is really the only way we can start to touch or bring tangibility to some of that remembrance is through art. And so it's through that I feel this pulse of, okay, this is evoking a remembrance within me, regardless of what's right or wrong. It's bringing a memory up. Yeah, and that is experienced through my being, which then may feel into an emotion or just a deep knowing of this is what I'm experiencing right now, right in this moment.
And I love that you touch on art, because as we started recording, we took a card, and the card is Rose of Venus. And she is the beauty, right? And I really believe that art, beauty, is such a way to bring forward that calling, that remembrance. Yeah. Which is, it's deeper and deeper again, like words miss here, right? But it's greater than so beauty brings us this experience of a knowing that is greater than the mind. That's how I would put it. Yeah.
And it's beautiful because it speaks to your attunement. It's really like when you listen to songs and how the frequency and how the resonance is speaking to maybe that one cell in the body, right? Or that one part within your body that is longing to be felt and hasn't had the space or the time or even your own presence or awareness. But then there's a certain song that comes through and it just touches it perfectly. You know, maybe you experience this and you don't even know that it's a level of remembrance, but this is what we're speaking into. It's those moments where you exhale. And I think I shared that before. Like, it's this moment of, oh, I didn't even know that that's what I needed, and it's touched it.
Yeah.
It's touched it. It, open to interpretation. It.
Yeah. Yeah. Essence home.
Essence home.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I would love to touch now on why do we bring the topic of remembrance into this space? Why is it so important for us that it gets to be the first topic that we bring forward?
Yeah. I feel like, well, that's a great question.
I could go first because I feel like for me, remembrance, and the podcast is also called the Mysteries of Eden. And so this is a lot about the mystery here, right? And remembrance talks to us from this place of mystery. It's, again, not knowledge, it's greater. And for me, a big piece on remembrance was touching something greater than me. And it was the allowance of really having her, whatever we feel as her, but having her really coming back to me. And that like deep attunement into, this is the path forward. She's showing it to me now, you know? And that was such a big step in my path.
Yeah.
To not feel like I was doing it, but rather that there was something that she was there with me and that she was showing me the steps home.
Thank you for bringing that. Yeah, I really would love to share a story on that exact moment where her, she, however we want to refer it. The reason why we call her she is because for me, the mysteries, and I feel like I look into the creation of all of existence. It is birthed from the womb, the cosmic womb. And I remember very clearly when she spoke to me. I was in Glastonbury in the UK, laying on the grounds of the Chalice Wells, and I was feeling the earth, really deeply feeling her. But then I heard her, and she said, I am she. It was just this. It was just that. I am she. And I was she. Okay. But the way she came in had all of my attention. And I remember for days rippling, she would come in and say, no, we're not doing that now. You're going to go outside and look at the flower. And I was like, but something moved me and I just went out, connected with the flower. And she spoke so clearly for so long to really move me into this path and walk it fully. But it was that, I am she, this is it. And even that sentence, there's so much power in that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the remembrance, coming back to your question of why it matters, is because when I refer to the remembrance, for me it was I am she, and how she, the feminine aspect of creation, has really been stripped from our history. And her story, yeah, she can only ever be remembered through you, the body and the being and your experience. And it can never be something that is really written in books. As we were saying, it's through the beauty, it's through the art, so that it evokes our own remembrance, not something that we follow necessarily, but our own unique essence is what I would say is she.
And I would say like so much of the path right now is about coming back to that sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
And that sovereignty cannot come anymore from a healer or from, even, I mean, it's beautiful. It's always beautiful to have that mirror and to have mentors and beautiful. And to create that separation where I am still in my own path. What is my truth here? Even to still question the beautiful mirrors that we might be receiving from a mentor or a friend, but it's really to come back to that path of sovereignty. And I am an advocate for spaces where we get to be so sovereign and really really listen to what do I want to do right now? How do I want to move? And often, and we speak into this, right? It's the clearing of the channel, and then she's moving you. You are being her song still, but it is this remembrance working through you, instilling your sovereignty, right? Because that moment that she calls you and she's telling you like it's there, you get a moment to decide. You're still in your sovereignty, right? So you get to be a channel and still be in your sovereignty and choose where to go from there. I would love to actually also share. I wouldn't say it was the first moment, but it was the most important moment for me that really felt like, now there's no question. If up until now there were moments where I would be, this happened, but maybe, it's just out of my imagination. Just my imagination. And in this moment, I received it so clearly, so clearly. So I'm reading, I think, the manuscript of Mary Magdalene.
Yeah.
And there's this part of the book where he speaks into the priestesses of Mary Magdalene, of Isis, and how they all use this bracelet with snakes. And I had a bracelet that it's really my priestess bracelet and my snake earrings, just like you're wearing now. And and I'm reading this passage in the book, and I start to have like my whole body is responding. Body, right? Body is responding, like shivers, just like now. Shivers in my body, and I'm like tearing up, and there's like this big experience. I'm just like breathing through it, and it's so strong that at some point I just put the book down and I go outside. And I go outside and I sit outside, and my cat is going crazy with something that is there, and I'm like, what's happening? And I'm just like, I'm so overwhelmed with all of this that is moving that I'm just there like, okay, do your thing. I'm just here in my process. But he wouldn't stop. And all of a sudden I'm like, there's a snake. And I went there, and there was a snake. And yeah, I just had this beautiful moment with her. And I know that you understand what I'm saying, right? It's like all of a sudden she was there, and I really felt her presence, and she was like, yeah, I'm showing you this is real. You've been part of this. You are a priestess of her. And no going back from there.
I feel very cool to share on the back of that this because you mentioned the snake, and actually bringing in the remembrances of the symbols that have been stripped, right? The snake, the moon, and all of these, the owl, even like how is represented as death, and how actually there's the wisdom element to it, but these symbols that can also really we can work with for our remembrance, right? Because for a long time, before I even heard I worked with this spiral symbol. I've been obsessed with the spiral symbol since I was a child, doodling it all in my little notebooks and everything. And then I created a company called Spiral Tea, but I was really working with that symbol, understanding its meaning of creation. But it was so present in my life that also was like an emblem and a seed, right? Which is why the ancients used so many symbols, and they would carve them into the caves and everything. And it's what the artifacts that we have today to understand their wisdom that they carried, and their knowledge and their knowing, how deeply connected they were to everything, to the cosmos, and we know this information, but it's through their leavings or findings or channelings that we can also access it in for our own remembrance.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes also this touch of calling,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes it's like even when you have less awareness, and I think probably you will see this. Like if we look in our path beforehand and before the channel is as open that we can actually, hear it, which doesn't necessarily mean it's a voice, but just like translate it better.
Yeah.
There is often already, like, I was always super drawn to snakes, you know? Why? I didn't know. And now I understand. And then I'm reading this book and it's like, yes, okay. But I feel like we all in some way have this, right? That there's something we are drawn to, a place in nature, a symbol, whatever it is, but it is already this deeper knowing. It is already a remembrance.
Yeah.
And then the more we open the channel, the more we create awareness of actually what is there and why are we being called to it.
Yeah. Which is why tattoos are also so powerful, right? I mean, they're not tattoos, but I would see them more as markings, as ceremonial markings. And I mean, I can share one that I have on the back of my hip, my right hip, which is actually the Mary Magdalene emblem of the anchor with the heart. And I got this when I was 18 because I just thought it looked really beautiful and it was symbolic of anchoring love into the here and now. And that was kind of my perception of the symbol. And I got it with my best friend at the time because she represented that anchor and this love that we held together. And only years later, when I went to the south of France for the Mary Magdalene retreat, did I understand that it was her symbol.
Wow.
And yet I had imprinted that on me for 18 years. So from a remembrance of a knowing, and I want that on my body. It's quite a big thing to really want something to be imprinted on your body, but they are seeds, right? Speaking to the 80% of water that we are, infusing our blood with the remembrance constantly, the spirals, love, the anchor, these words, freedom I have, peace, and it's infusing my being to create even more embodiment. My blood is receiving the molecular structure of these words that hold so much resonance and remembrance.
Yeah. I would actually go into, because you speak of the words, right? And actually touching that. Before we started the podcast, we asked a few people what words would resonate more, and Eden was always one that was highlighted. And I think to some degree, many of us experience this. Like Eden there's something there, right? There's something to the word Eden. And I think we all know at least some of the story there. And I think at some point we'll speak more into it. But yeah, there's this sense that Eden then is paradise. But there's more than that, right? And it is also a remembrance. And for me, what really touched me was the understanding that Eden represents innocence. It's the space where we go and remember that once upon a time, our animal, our heart, and our spirit were all one. And we're all living in that innocence, that purity. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to speak into eroticism around that?
What would you like me to go into? Around eroticism, there's so much.
The innocence of eroticism and bringing that back and why that's important.
Yeah, I think for me it was also a moment of, I just remember being in this phase of my life where I was receiving a lot of visions and deep experiences in this way. And I was just going through this whole journey, and all of a sudden I really receive an imprint of a moment in life where sex and birth were in the exact same beauty, were held in the same purity. And I think for me, more than anything, it's less that it's an important thing, but more like, let's just go back to that remembrance of
Mm-hmm.
innocence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, eroticism is not more than anything.
Mm.
It's just our natural being. It's the way we get to be so alive. It's
Yeah.
the way we are not putting aside of us, a part of us aside,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so much part of creation.
Yeah.
Eroticism is in the eros. The word eros is actually to be in connection.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the being in connection to nature, to God, to each other, to myself, to everything. So I feel like a beautiful way to go into eroticism is to keep on asking myself, like, how can I be more connected?
Mm.
How can I connect myself more?
Yeah.
And then it's this dance of unity, of oneness that we spoke before, right?
And remembrance.
And remember.
I love that. I really love that so much, because how that has been tainted, especially a woman's sexuality, right? And really to reclaim the sovereignty, as you were mentioning before, this is a big part of it. A big part, especially for women walking here now, to reclaim sensuality, sexuality as something that is innate and innocent, really innocent forming of creation, and is it's not for a law, or it's not for this kind of gate to be gazed. It's to be devoted to. It's to be honored so deeply. This well that we hold inside of us that cultivates vital life force energy, like it's freely giving, right? It's constantly regenerating itself. And this is a remembrance, right? Just coming back to the womb is where I believe, and for where it started for me as well, is where the remembrance comes from. To go back to the origin, if we're going to talk of the cosmic womb, we also access the cosmic womb through the portal of our wombs. Physical is one thing, but I'm really speaking into the energetic womb space.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing that is dropping just now for me is, yeah, I feel like anything that will actually resonate with us. Because you can, I mean, I'm not speaking like, this knowledge from going to university where you're just letting the like, textbook into your head, but more and rather the experience of, going to a retreat, going to a training, and really going through this experience and having this mentor telling you these things. The things that will actually land in your body and that you will take with you will be the pieces of remembrance, right? Because then each one of us will have a different calling. I mean, I am so drawn to eroticism, and it's a deep calling, longing, like, this is something I know I need to bring forward. It's something that sparks my whole system so much. My soul gets alive. Why? It's a remembrance, right? And I think all of us came to attunement with different pieces to be brought to this life and forward from that remembrance.
Yeah. And how then you transmit that remembrance. So you holding that remembrance is transmitting for me to remember this part, or where it may not be so natural. And I feel like that's where, it is, but I mean, other aspects or other parts to ourselves, which is why when we come together, we can get to see ourselves so much more expansively, because there are other people bringing different aspects of you that are resonating on some level. Some may feel a bit edgy, some may feel a bit, and I invite you to question that too. I invite you to enter, feel the uncomfortability that you may notice in someone's presence, or what they're speaking about, or certain words, because as you spoke to before, the word Eden could bring some negative connotations to a lot of people. God, Eden, even bringing the religious indoctrinations that we hold around that word. It feels heavy, and it can be an automatic, that's not for me.
Yeah.
It's not for you. because for me, religion, I was so averse to most of my life. I felt a certain way in the church, but that's only because I knew of the stories and also how people in my family were speaking around it, right? There was, it never felt like it was something that I could feel good talking about. It was like a taboo subject that we don't talk about religion. So when I would go into churches, even though I would enter, it would be this kind of icky energy, like, oh, I don't know if I should be here because I don't really practice and then when I found my path in this remembrance through how I chose to walk it, there was a resonance that shifted. So now walking into Catholic churches, Christian churches, or places of worship, even any religious space really, but mainly from my lineage, since my ancestry, a lot is Catholicism, I step in and I can experience it from a whole different lens, from the way I choose to.
Yeah.
Not the stories that have been indoctrinated and passed down as we know them, but through the left-hand path of Christ, the feminine path of Christ, which is what we have brought this podcast channel to come alive to, but from this place of experience and remembrance.
Beautiful. Yeah, I was reflecting how it is so beautiful also that we bring the word Eden, knowing that it can be quite loaded, and still we choose to.
Yes.
Right? Because I think I was hearing a lot of sovereignty in your sharing, right? It's like, I mean, we receive all these things, right? Like parents and still wanting to go to the church, and there's all these pieces in life, and then we choose our path. We question so much that we choose what is our path. And here I feel like we are doing a little bit of that, right? It's like there is so much of the mystery, and there is so much of rewriting her story, right? And bringing the word Eden here, knowing it can be loaded for some, and even speaking the words God, I feel like we both kind of have this essence of rebellion a little bit, so it makes sense. But yeah, that we get to be that we get to be this loving revolution in some way, right? It's like, yeah, we won't compel to the structures that were given to us, because we choose sovereignty, and I choose to put to bring the touch of what Eden means to me.
Yes. Reframing the words that we've been taught, even power, even feminine, we get to reframe, reclaim what the feminine means for us as individuals. Yeah. What does the feminine mean to you in your embodiment of her?
I think when I feel the feminine, she's totality. She's the whole.
Yeah.
Of course, she's the void, for sure. And she's this experience of really like the most beautiful softness, but also the biggest roar and like destruction, and it's the dance between them. And she's still creation for me. Like I feel the aliveness in the womb, right? Like this, again, words. I mean, like this. There's like life pouring out, right? The feminine is this like she keeps on giving. She's this abundance. Yeah.
My whole body is like having a process
of remembrance.
of remembrance, and like my heart, the feminine is what's coming through as you're sharing words. Is I notice for me the embodiment of the feminine is the expression of every moment of the constellations that we're in, the energetic systems that are created, the expression of maybe what seems chaos, because creation is a chaotic energy, always to bring in order, but the feminine is the expression of that chaos. And I very much embody this. If I'm in places or situations and I'm feeling something that needs to be expressed and isn't, I'll often do it. And it may come out of the blue, right? Because this is the feminine. She very much is like, for me, it's like, yeah, well, take your place here, like take your place. And if something needs to be expressed, even if it's going to cause conflict, then how can I be that one? But bringing it in, and I have a very funny embodiment of the feminine in a way. Like I feel like she comes in with a lot of humor because she feels that there is something that is up for or needing release. And I just want to touch on that releases does not always have to look like this big, heavy. It can be laughter. Our laughter is a release. So I often sense things in spaces and I bring humor to it so that we can feel it or it touches on something, but not from this place of, now I feel uncomfortable. So there's, so there's this expression of what's needed of the moment. But when I also tune into the feminine, I resonate with you, the void, the stillness. There's also it's like stillness and motion, and it is the total dancing of the all, everything, and the nothingness.
Oh yes, yeah. I mean,
she was very excited there.
Just channeling.
She was so excited.
I feel like a big signature of my work. And I work mainly, like 90% of my spaces and people I work with are women. And it's so much more about that. And, right? It's like, okay, what if we stop now? And, instead of doing the next thing and the next practice and all the things that you expected, no, what is here when we stop? There's so much life when we actually come into stillness.
Yeah, the softening to really be able to feel.
Yeah. The feeling of like the subtlest movement, breath. And there's so much eroticism there as well. Right?
So my whole body is softening.
Yeah, it's that melting into like, I feel like often there are two words in my work that I feel like don't really get, across. That's pleasure, which usually is seen as something very superficial. And it's rest. Because I feel like people think as rest, like, oh yeah, I just sit in the sofa and I watch Netflix. And rest is a medicine, and it's this melting into the void. It's like when my whole nervous system relaxes, what is actually there? Because usually we are not in that relaxation of the body, that restful space, right? We are moving to the next thing, and we are in the mind, and so like when we actually stop, it's in the because we spoke into this, right? It's in the stillness and in the silence that remembrance comes. And I just feel like it's so underestimated. We don't give enough credit to softness and stillness and rest, which is not taking a nap, is really like allowing the nervous system to relax to such a degree that you get to feel. There's so much to feel there.
And as you're saying it, I feel like I'm expressing this sense of the touch. How, even though I want to touch you, right, when we're speaking, because it's like this sense of when we touch ourselves or we touch others, it actually brings us into this deep exhale, this, okay, I'm being held. And we can also do that for ourselves, right? We can sometimes that's all that's actually needed. It's not the words, it's just this sense of we are held here together, we are in this place of connection, and I've got you, you've got me, on whatever level that looks like.
And we are so depleted as a society from that. Like, I feel like within our circle, we are so touchy, right? Like we might just like, be cuddling and spending time together, and that's easy. It's here and it's allowed and it's natural.
Yeah.
and to then go in, like all of a sudden you need to go somewhere to take care of paperwork or something, and then you're in society where, if a leg touches another leg, the person like goes to the other side so that no one is touching, and it's like, wow, we are actually putting on the side something that is so important for us.
And there is room for both, because also who we allow to touch us is a very big thing too.
Indeed.
There has to, well, for me, there has to be a resonance of frequency or an understanding on, like I mentioned, a level that maybe I don't even know yet. But if I'm allowing someone to touch me, there has to be a feeling in my body that's, oh, this is okay, right? This is safe. This is okay. I allow this.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I speak more to also the people that actually don't have that.
Yeah.
Because I am also really specific. I mean, Tantra festivals this summer, for me, at some point, I was like, I cannot be doing these practices anymore, because every 3 minutes you're finding another partner and you're looking in the eyes of someone. And I mean, at some point, it was my path of sovereignty. It was like this, I've done my work and I've done so many of these and they are so beautiful. And yet, right now, it's my choice to actually not do it, because it wasn't feeling good anymore. But I know I come home and I have sisterhood.
Yeah.
And I have female, but also male friends with whom I just go and cuddle and snuggle, and like we spend this nourishing time together.
Yeah.
But most of society don't have it, and it's so important.
Yeah, to find that tribe, to find that community where that is consented, firstly, but also where you feel nourished on all levels.
Yeah. So I think it's almost like a two-way step, right? It's like that you first learn where is your yes.
Yeah.
Right? And then that you get to have that in the most beautiful setting with people that really nourish you.
Yeah.
Because touch and nourishment comes in many ways, but touch is definitely one of them. And then we come back to that remembrance of it's okay to be loving in this way with each other.
Yeah. And what's coming through is about the remembrance of the body's wisdom, because how do we learn our yes? How do we learn our no? And it's through these such subtle sensations of the body, and it can feel so subtle sometimes that it's so easy to go, oh no, that was, you can dismiss it and ignore it. And maybe many of you have done that. I know I have. I've ignored it so many times in my life, and then it's built up and it's created this internal self-betrayal, or this internal, like, I don't trust, right? And to reattune myself to that body's wisdom, letting that speak, to notice when, even just not before I even touch you, but when I'm just in your presence, to see if this is okay, yes, I want to explore this. Maybe I don't even know why yet, but it's a yes to explore, or it's a, I don't know, I cannot even be in this person's feel or present or anything. And so maybe the listeners here, you can take a moment now to just feel into, who do you have that with that you haven't been aware of necessarily, but you know that you either create an avoidance not to see someone, or your body is like, when you're supposed to do something, you end up not going, or it gets ill, because there's another manifestation of how it comes through when something's really not in alignment and your body really doesn't want you to go there. It will come up in all these ways. So the topic of remembrance, we touched on the remembrance of the soul, the remembrance of Eden, the remembrance of reframing and reclaiming the feminine, the remembrance of the body. So from our shares from today's episode, we would really love to hear from you. What does remembrance mean, evoke, or spark within you when you hear this word and when you feel into it a little bit deeper?
Let us know. We are so available to receive comments, we will leave our Instagrams below, and just feel free to come to us with your sharings. Yeah, and let us know how this conversation felt. If any resonance, any memories, anything comes up to you.
And if you really enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe to our channel. It will really help creatives like ourselves grow and expand and keep on bringing more content like this to you. Sending you so much love and keep remembering.
Yeah.